You ever have one of those moments when life hits you with something so unfair, so raw, that you can almost feel your heart breaking in real time? Before this story begins, take a second, because what you're about to hear isn't just another story about racism, injustice, or karma. It's about truth, about hidden strength, and about how a man's dignity can't be priced, no matter how much gold you hang on the walls. So hit that subscribe button right now, because you'll want to stay till the very end of this one. It's going to shake you, make you angry, and maybe restore your faith in justice. Our story begins on a bright Saturday morning in downtown Chicago, where the glass buildings glittered like mirrors of pride and wealth. People walked fast, clutching their designer bags and double-shot lattes, pretending not to notice the invisible lines between those who had it all and those just trying to make it through another day. On that street sat one of the most famous luxury fashion houses in America, a name dripping with prestige, a store that smelled of expensive perfume and quiet arrogance. And inside that store, on this particular day, fate was about to test one man's patience like never before. His name was Marcus Hale, a tall, composed black man in his late 30s, dressed in simple jeans and a black hoodie. He had that calm confidence about him, the kind that came not from money, but from experience, discipline, and pain. What no one in that store knew, what no one could have imagined, was that Marcus wasn't just some random guy off the street. He was a millionaire entrepreneur, a retired Marine intelligence officer, and more importantly, the silent investor behind several high-end brands that the rich and famous flaunted without ever knowing his name. But today Marcus wasn't there as the man behind the curtain. Today he was undercover doing something he hadn't done in a long time, testing people. Because recently, one of his business partners, a quiet but honest tailor from Atlanta, had told him something disturbing, that Laverne & Co., the store they were about to partner with, had a serious problem with how they treated people of color. Marcus didn't take rumors lightly. He wanted proof, and the only way to get that proof was to step into the lion's den himself. As Marcus walked up to the revolving doors, a middle-aged white man in an expensive gray suit was adjusting the display window, making sure every mannequin was perfect. This was Richard Laverne, the store's owner, a man who loved two things: money, and the idea that certain people didn't belong in his world. His staff feared him, his competitors envied him, and his arrogance was legendary. He noticed Marcus approaching, frowned slightly, and then forced a fake smile when he saw the reflection of others passing by.
"Good morning, sir,"
he said in that smooth, empty tone rich people use when they're pretending to be polite. Marcus nodded politely, stepped inside, and was immediately hit by the scent of luxury amber, leather, and subtle power. The store was filled with shimmering displays of watches, shoes, and clothing, each piece worth more than most people's rent. A young woman at the counter, Sophie, looked up and gave him the same smile she gave everyone, till Richard walked in behind Marcus. "Can I help you, sir?" she asked kindly. "Just looking around," Marcus replied calmly. His eyes scanned the room. The store wasn't busy, just a few customers browsing. One young white couple tried on watches, and a middle-aged man was picking out a belt with the help of an associate. Marcus walked toward the men's section, where the latest Italian suits were displayed on mahogany racks. That's when Richard's voice, sharp as glass, cut through the air. "Excuse me," he said, walking up behind Marcus. "Those suits are rather expensive. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable in our outlet section down the street." Marcus turned, his calm eyes meeting Richard's with quiet disbelief. "I'm fine here," he said softly. "I like quality." Richard chuckled under his breath. "Of course, but you understand these pieces aren't for everyone." "Oh?" Marcus asked. "And who exactly are they for?" Richard adjusted his tie, eyes cold. "For clients who can appreciate their value, you understand, we get a lot of browsers." He emphasized the word browsers as if it meant something else entirely. Sophie, the young employee, looked nervous, glancing between them. Marcus could feel her discomfort. "I see," he said. "Maybe I'll appreciate something enough to buy it." He reached out to touch the sleeve of a charcoal gray suit, but Richard quickly stepped between him and the fabric. "I must insist you don't handle the merchandise unless you're seriously interested. We've had incidents before." Marcus's calm began to harden. "Incidents like what?" he asked quietly. Richard smirked. "Let's just say people who don't belong here often misunderstand what quality means." The store fell quiet. The couple nearby suddenly pretended to look elsewhere, sensing tension. Sophie whispered, Mr. Laverne, maybe I can help. But he waved her off. Marcus slowly nodded, the silence thick as thunder before a storm. You know what? He said. Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't belong here. He turned as if to leave, but paused by the display of watches near the counter. Marcus took a slow breath, his patience fraying but intact. You're accusing me of theft? Richard shrugged, just being cautious. You'd be surprised how often he didn't finish, because at that moment, Marcus's phone buzzed. A message flashed from Evelyn legal team, all set, cameras rolling, proceed when ready. Richard didn't notice. He was too busy trying to humiliate him. Tell you what, Richard said smugly, handing back the card. Why don't you come back when you have proof you can afford this? I'd hate to call security. No need, Marcus said quietly. I was just about to leave anyway. He turned, walked toward the door, and just as he stepped out, the guard, a tall, bearded man, blocked his way. Sir, I'm going to have to check your pockets, the guard said, his tone cold. Store policy? Marcus's jaw tightened. For what reason? We had a complaint, the guard said. Mr. Laverne believes you may have taken something, Sophie gasped. That's not true, she said. But Richard silenced her with a glare. Do your job, he told the guard. Marcus stared at the guard for a long second, then raised his hand slightly. Go ahead, he said. Act! The guard hesitated, then patted him down roughly in front of everyone. People watched. Phones came out. Marcus's dignity was stripped, one motion at a time. When it was over, the guard stepped back. He's clean, he muttered. Marcus said nothing. He looked at Richard one last time. You'll regret this, he said calmly. Richard smirked, doubtful. Marcus walked out into the sunlight, the door closing behind him with a soft chime. He didn't look back. What no one knew was that Marcus's car, a black Range Rover parked across the street, was fitted with a hidden dash cam that had recorded everything. As he sat behind the wheel, his calm broke for just a moment. His fists clenched, and he exhaled deeply. He wasn't angry because of what happened to him. He was angry because he'd seen it happen to countless others who didn't have the means to fight back. But this time he was going to make sure something changed. He sent a voice note to Evelyn. Pull the footage. Send it to the team. We move tomorrow. That night, as Chicago's skyline shimmered in the distance, Richard celebrated another successful day. He poured himself a glass of bourbon, boasting to his wife, Linda, about keeping the riffraff out. She didn't reply, just stared at him with tired eyes. You know, she said quietly, one day, someone's going to make you pay for the way you treat people. Richard laughed. Please, that man was nobody. But fate was already moving pieces he couldn't see, because by morning, Richard's nobody would become the most important name in his life. The next day, the store was buzzing. A limousine had pulled up early, and a group of suited men were setting up velvet ropes outside. Sophie arrived early and found the staff whispering. What's going on? She asked. Apparently, we're hosting some VIP investor visit today, said another clerk. Richard's been talking about a potential merger. He says it could double the store's value. Sophie nodded, curious but nervous. When Richard arrived wearing his best smile, he looked around with excitement. Big day, people. Let's impress them. At exactly 10 o'clock, the limousine door opened. A tall man in a navy suit stepped out, followed by 2 assistants and a cameraman. The entire staff froze. It was Marcus. This time, he wasn't in jeans and a hoodie. He looked like royalty. Confidence radiated from him, the kind that came from power and principle. Richard's smile faltered for just a second, but he quickly masked it. Mr. Hale, he said, pretending not to recognize him. What an honor. Wasn't expecting no, Marcus interrupted. You weren't. He walked past him, eyes scanning the store. Cameras rolled silently, capturing every nervous face. I understand Laverne & Co. is being considered for a major partnership with Hale Holdings, Marcus said, his tone formal. I wanted to see the operation myself. Richard nodded eagerly. Of course. We run a very professional establishment. Marcus smiled slightly. Do you? Sophie looked at him, her heart racing. She remembered him instantly. Marcus glanced her way and gave a small nod of recognition, silently thanking her for trying to help yesterday. Why don't we start with the customer experience? Marcus said. Show me how your staff handles new clients. Richard forced a grin. Absolutely. He turned to the staff, trying to act confident, but sweat was already forming at his temples. Marcus let him continue for a while, asking polite questions, watching his every move. Hey. Then, after about 15 minutes, he stopped near the same display where everything had gone wrong the day before. He pointed at the platinum watch. That piece, he said. I believe it's one of your most valuable items. Yes, Richard said, proud. Custom design, limited edition. One of only 5 in the world. Interesting, Marcus replied softly. And tell me, how do you decide who gets to touch it? Richard blinked. Excuse me? Marcus turned slowly to face him, and the store fell silent again. The camera zoomed in. Yesterday, Marcus said, his voice calm but firm. I came into this store dressed a little differently. You told me people like me didn't belong here. You accused me of theft. You humiliated me in front of your staff and customers. Do you remember that? Richard's color drained. I think you must be mistaken. I don't think so, Marcus said, pulling out his phone. He tapped a button, and footage appeared on screen, crystal clear video of everything that had happened. From the moment Marcus entered to the moment the guards searched him, gasps rippled through the store. Sophie covered her mouth. This, Marcus continued, was recorded with full audio and video. It's already been reviewed by my legal team, and copies have been sent to multiple media outlets, Richard stammered. It was a misunderstanding. Marcus stepped closer. No, it was a pattern. I've had reports from other clients and employees about how you treat people who dainty fit your image of wealth. You think you're protecting your brand, but what you're really doing is poisoning it. By now, the staff were whispering, some recording with their phones. Richard's voice trembled. Please, Mr. Hale, we can discuss this privately. No, Marcus said. You chose to humiliate me publicly, so we'll handle this publicly. He gestured to his assistant, who handed Richard a folder. Inside is a formal termination of all pending contracts between Hale Holdings and Laverne & Co. Additionally, you'll find notice of a civil rights lawsuit being filed this afternoon. Richard's hand shook as he took the papers. You can't do this, he whispered. Watch me, Marcus said. Oh, and one more thing. Effective immediately, Laverne & Co. will be removed from every partner listing and luxury showcase we control. It means no fashion weeks, no high-end sponsorships, no elite clientele referrals. In short, your reputation is done. Sophie couldn't hold it in. Any more tears welled in her eyes, half from shock, half from vindication. Richard looked around, realizing the cameras, the staff, the witnesses all saw his downfall in real time. He dropped the folder, voice breaking. Please. I made a mistake. Marcus studied him for a long second, then said quietly, You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. He turned and began walking toward the door, the cameraman following him. But just before he left, he stopped and looked back. You know, Richard, he said, if you had just treated people with respect, today could have been the biggest day of your career. Instead, it's the last.